As we've shown you week after week, the Democrats' push for impeachment is a farce, an attempt to overturn the 2016 election through non-democratic means. Meanwhile, the real corruption in this whole saga is the Biden-Ukraine cash for gas scandal, in which then Vice President Joe Biden presided over billions of dollars of aid that went to Ukraine, some of it for their energy industry, while his son Hunter was on the board of one of the country's largest energy producers, Burisma. But that's not where the focus has been. Instead, the swamp is obsessed with President Trump and what he did or didn't do. But as we head towards an actual impeachment vote and even a trial in the Senate, I've been asking myself a deeper question. How the hell is it that Ukraine, to coin a phrase, a far-off country of which we know little, came to consume our country? It actually starts with this man, Dmytro Firtash, a Ukrainian energy billionaire who's been holed up in Austria for the past 5 years, fighting a US extradition order over corruption in India using US financial institutions. In 2015, an Austrian court refused to extradite Firtash after ruling that the Obama administration's case against him had been politically motivated over his alleged ties to Russia. But after lengthy legal battles earlier this year, Austria's Supreme Court upheld the US extradition order. So, to help him fight it, Firtash looked for a lawyer with deep political connections in Washington to get the DOJ to drop the charges. He first settled on attorney Lanny Davis to represent him, the same Lanny Davis that served as special counsel to Bill Clinton in the 90s. But in July of last year, Davis took on another client, Michael Cohen. If you're a Ukrainian billionaire trying to persuade the Trump administration to help you, it might not be the best idea to hire the lawyer of one of the president's most high-profile antagonists. So, Firtash replaced Lanny Davis with two prominent D.C. lawyers you've probably seen on this network, Joe diGenova and Victoria Tensing. On behalf of their client, diGenova and Tensing obtained an affidavit from Viktor Shokin, the Ukrainian prosecutor who Joe Biden bragged about getting fired as a quid pro quo for U.S. aid. In the affidavit, the fired prosecutor says he was forced out by Joe Biden because he was investigating Hunter Biden's company, Burisma. This is the affidavit that you've probably seen Rudy Giuliani holding up on TV over the past few weeks. Dmytro Firtash's calculation seems to have been, if he can prove that Joe Biden acted corruptly to protect his son, then the extradition case against him, which Biden was involved in as vice president, would be tainted, if not discredited completely. This is what Rudy Giuliani is also trying to prove. Now, as you saw the other week, I tried to give Rudy a redirect, as they call it at my kids' school. The real Biden corruption question that needs investigating is how much US taxpayer aid went to Burisma while Joe Biden was in charge of the aid and Hunter Biden was on the board. That question must be investigated precisely because Joe Biden is running for president and can only be answered with help from the Ukraine government. But Rudy's been on a different track. Now, he has a client called Lev Parnas, who paid Rudy $500,000. Parnas was arrested here last month for allegedly trying to bribe a congressman to push for the firing of now former ambassador to the Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, for blocking a business deal he was involved with. When he was arrested, Parnas was literally about to board a flight to Vienna, where, of course, the billionaire who started all this, Dmytro Firtash, is holed up. What's Lev Parnas' connection to Firtash? He was being paid by diGenova and Tensing, Firtash's lawyers. Now, if your head is spinning from all this, let me try and explain in simple terms how it all relates to impeachment. When former Ukraine envoy Kurt Volker testified earlier last month, he said that President Trump had expressed a negative view of Ukraine, in part because Rudy Giuliani told him the Ukrainians meddled in the 2016 election, trying to take him down. On top of his long-standing skepticism about foreign assistance and belief that Europe should pay more, it's no wonder the president wanted to stop the aid. And as we now know, and the Democrats won't admit because it completely collapses their impeachment case, it was officials, including Kurt Volker, who cooked up the whole aid for investigations thing, not President Trump. But how did all this start? Where did Rudy's information come from? That's what we wanted to show you tonight. Because it looks like a Ukrainian billionaire who's fighting extradition to the US has hired a bunch of people and put out a bunch of information that he thinks will curry favor with the Trump administration and stop him being extradited. Of course, that doesn't mean there aren't serious questions about Joe Biden's role on Burisma and Ukraine's role in 2016 that should be investigated. There are, and they should. Look at that headline. That is not Fox News. That's not John Solomon. That's the Washington Post. That's the story here. Cash for gas. I am so sick and tired of establishment state TV saying there was no wrongdoing by the Bidens.
We should note, according to the Ukrainian prosecutor, there is no evidence of any wrongdoing by either Joe or Hunter Biden.
Trump is making a wholly unsubstantiated claim when he alleges corruption by the Bidens. There is no evidence of any wrongdoing.
There is no evidence of wrongdoing by Biden.
Tapper, Wallace and Todd, the Swamp's brand new corruption PR agency. First client, the Bidens. Of course there was wrongdoing. Being on the board of a Ukrainian gas company while your dad's in charge of Ukraine policy and pushing for more gas production backed by US taxpayer aid, that is wrongdoing. And that's what needs to be investigated instead of this absurd farce of an impeachment.